What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video. Today, I want to talk about the blame game, specifically for the New York Jets and their injuries. They have been a very injured team over the last few years, and I'm looking at two coaches in particular that I think could be a big factor in all of this. We'll break it all down right after this. Another week, another underdog fantasy pick for Jets, Texans. I'm excited for this one. 3 picks. We're using a booster, so I'm excited about this with the 2.25 times modifier. You could sign up using my link down below in the description or the pinned comment to get in on the action over at Underdog. All right, CJ Stroud, I am taking the higher on 222.5 passing yards. Jets have an incredible pass defense. Even still, CJ Stroud is averaging almost 300 passing yards a game. I think he's sitting somewhere between 230 and 245. Here we go. Garrett Wilson, higher than 0.5 touchdowns. So Garrett Wilson to get in the end zone with a 2.25 times bonus. It's time to get a little nuts. Let's get some nuts in here. And then finally, Zach Wilson is going to let it rip. Apparently, right? Zach Wilson going to let it rip. Higher than 182.5 passing yards. A $10 play on this would net $135. Sign up using my link down below. Stop me if you've heard this one before. The New York Jets have a ton of injured players, and I was curious to look at the numbers over the last few years and see where the New York Jets rank in terms of players who are injured. And I have some numbers to look at and also a quote specifically with the offensive line this year, the last 2 years in particular, but it feels bad the number of injuries the Jets have had on the offensive line. And this season they have a new offensive line coach in Keith Carter. Now, again, like I said, this is his first year. They had John Benton previously, so you can't blame Keith Carter for injuries in 2022 and before that. But in 2023, it's no secret the Jets have had a ton of injuries on the offensive line. Here's a list just off the top of my head. Wes Schweitzer has missed time. Carter Warren, Mekhi Becton, Billy Turner, Dwayne Brown, AVT, Joe Tippmann, Connor McGovern. That's 8 different guys just right there. There are a ton of injuries on the offensive line, but something that was interesting when Keith Carter was first hired, Taylor Lewan had a quote that came out. So Taylor Lewan spent time in Tennessee. His entire career was in Tennessee, and Keith Carter was the offensive line coach in Tennessee for a long time, and that's where he came from after getting let go with Todd Downing after the 2022 season. But some interesting quotes came out about Keith Carter in particular. And again, everyone's relationship with a coach varies, and every circumstances for individuals is different. Some guys respond well to some things, some guys not so well to things. But this is Taylor Lewan, who's a Pro Bowl level left tackle. This was his take on Keith Carter. He said that Keith Carter had impossible standards and also noted that he wished Carter focused more on taking care of the older players. I just wished he focused a little bit more on taking care of the older players, Lewan added. I think meaning Ben Jones, got a little bit more of that towards the end. And then I kind of did this year, meaning in 2022. But those practices are hard and they wear on your body and they wear your tires out really fast. And you could see it towards the end of the season sometimes. As the 2023 season has gone on, the Jets have had injuries stockpile. And if you had to pick out one position where injuries have stockpiled, the offensive line is the perfect example. And it's not only that position, but to me, that is a really big factor in all of this is how the New York Jets practice and prepare. That plays a factor in injuries. Sometimes it's luck, and a lot of it has to do with luck. And believe me, I do think that the turf in particular at MetLife Stadium is an abomination. The Giants are a team that also deals with a ton of injuries, so I think the turf does play a factor. I know people are probably tired of talking about it, but I do think Woody Johnson and John Mara have to do something for both their franchises and for this stadium. They share a stadium. There are the non-contact injuries, whether it's Achilles or ACLs, MCLs, on that field. People get hurt at MetLife Stadium at an insane clip. And they've changed it a few times, but they cannot get it right for whatever reason, which is really tough. But Keith Carter is not the only one. As I said, this is his first season, so not a big sample with the New York Jets, but in his first year, obviously not great. And we got Taylor Lewan, who was with the Tennessee Titans for a long time. the insight that he gave there kind of leads you to believe that he's, runs practices a certain way, and guys tend to break down as the season goes on. The other coach that I'm taking a look at is the strength and conditioning coach, Mike Niccoli. He came over with Robert Saleh from the San Francisco 49ers. He was Saleh's get-back coach with the San Francisco 49ers, and he's a high-energy guy. He's probably a great guy. I don't doubt that he's a player or a coach rather, that the players love, and that Robert Saleh likes him and all this stuff. But if you isolate where the New York Jets have ranked in terms of teams that have had players on IR, it's insane where they've been with the total number of players on IR in the 3 years he's been here. They rank third most in 2023 this year, so the third highest number across the NFL, sixth most last year, and second most in 2021. So that's 2, 6, and 3. They have been in the top 6 in terms of guys who have spent time on IR, not necessarily season-ending IR, but if you go on IR for 4 weeks, you come off, you come back, that still counts. I can't get over it. 3, 6th, and 2nd. Now, unfortunately, the data doesn't really go back further. It really only does the last 4 years, and it was not great in 2020 also, which that was under a different strength and conditioning coach. But the numbers over the last decade, the Jets are like, if you're looking at the whole decade, they're like middle of the pack in terms of like guys who have gotten hurt. And with the increased frequency over the last couple of years, to me, that really shows that for whatever reason, they are not in a good spot with the strength and conditioning coach. And again, like maybe a part of it probably is luck. A part of it is also the turf as well. But I think you need to be taking a look at these things. When you're this frequently injured, there has to be something else that is a reason behind all these injuries. And again, like just by trying to put blame, and I don't know if blame is necessarily the right word, but an explanation on how this just continues to happen. Because again, like if you're just a fan watching this team and following this team, it feels like the feel is that they are one of the most injured teams in the NFL. And the stats and the data back it up rather. Again, like I said, third, sixth, and second most over the last 3 years. That's insane. It's not sustainable. So I think they desperately need to make changes on the offensive staff going into next year anyway. Like Nathaniel Hackett is unfortunately going to be here in some capacity because of Aaron Rodgers. But to me, there is no reason that guys like Keith Carter and Todd Downing have to come back. Like, for what? Did they really do anything that makes you feel like, oh yeah, let's absolutely bring those guys back? And Keith Carter, like, didn't love what I heard from him in Tennessee. And then this year, one, the offensive line hasn't been any good this year. And number two is they've been incredibly injured. And I think there's a reason behind that. And like, I don't know, a change in the strength and conditioning program couldn't hurt because of the frequency of injuries. So a little bit of a different video today, but wanted to hear your thoughts on the subject. Drop them down below in the comments or on social media. Please make sure before you go, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you next time.